end of luxury fashion.
Interesting.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Celesta. We talk about all things luxury shopping and handbags. If you love those things, make sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do post videos every week. So as you know, I love my luxury handbags and luxury fashion, but it's also not been a secret that luxury brands have kind of been on a decline in the last year and a half, 2 years. LVMH, Kering, all these luxury conglomerates are reporting sales are down, and it can't be that big of a surprise. And honestly, as a luxury shopper who is not loaded with money, I have to be very particular with what I'm spending my money on. And I know some people will say that's not these brands' target demographic, but at the same time, there's only so many people that can be VICs, and majority of the people who are making a couple purchases a year, that's what's making up the sales for most of these brands. So while I am not the VIC ideal customer for these luxury brands, I am definitely in that group that contributes to a lot of their sales, and that group of people are spending a lot less and being a lot more conscious of what they're buying. And here are a couple reasons for why I think that is. So let's get into it. Okay, so starting with price increase, I think we can all agree inflation is crazy, not even within luxury brands in general. You go to the supermarket and suddenly what used to be $50 worth of groceries is now $80 worth of groceries. So it is a lot more expensive in general. Cost of living has gone up, but I think also with luxury brands, they have continued to do price increase after price increase, and it's way above what is inflation rate. The infamous Chanel Classic Flap was just $6,000 4 years ago, and it is now $10,800 before tax. I live in an area where sales tax is 10%, so 10% of $6,000 is $600, which is still an easier pill to swallow. So if I'm paying $6,600 for Chanel Classic Flap, it's not terrible. Now I'm paying over $1,000 in sales tax, so that bag is now almost $1,200 in just 4 years, which is an insane thing to think about. The YSL tote I recommend a lot, and it's hard to recommend this bag now because it is inching closer and closer to $2,000. This bag used to be $990, and it is now $1,700 in just 4 years. Even the Neverfull back in 2020 was $1,540, and it is now $2,030. And there's been some sneak peek Instagram accounts that have announced that Louis Vuitton will eventually be releasing a reversible Neverfull. So it's going to be Neverfull regular canvas on the outside and then a leather interior, which is very similar to the Goyard and Joux collection. And that one is going to retail for $3,800. So that's going to be more than double the price of the original Neverfull back in 2020. I wouldn't be surprised once they release that version of the Neverfull if they discontinue the original Neverfull, because everybody knows Louis Vuitton has kind of been shifting away from just lower end canvas pieces, and they're trying to sell more leather pieces. They're trying to sell more higher priced items. And so I wouldn't be surprised if they discontinue the Louis Vuitton Neverfull once they release this new version of it. And I think with all of the price increases in mind and it coming out that Dior's bag costs $58 to make is crazy. Personally, I kind of understand with the price increases, everything is going up, but it also affects kind of the resale value of your current collection. So for example, I got my Neverfull back in Europe in 2018 for 990 euros. I did go and sell that bag for, I believe, $1,700 or $1,800. So it ended up making money off of that bag. And so there are benefits to having price increases, but also it just costs more to add bags to your collection. I think another issue with a lot of designer brands and why the average consumer is not shopping anymore is the repetitive design. I've said this before, and I have found that a lot of brands are just slapping their logo on a very similar design. So I see this a lot with Celine recently. I think when they came out with the Celine Triomphe, everyone loved it. And I actually have 3 pieces of the Celine Triomphe collection in my collection and I don't mind them. I have the Celine Triomphe shoulder bag, which is now renamed to the Claude. I have the Celine Triomphe flap card holder, and I have the belt. And the Celine Triomphe is their newest logo right now. However, when I went to go look on Celine's website, because I do want to buy more Celine pieces, I love the leather, I love the look, I love the feel, and I want to add more pieces to my collection. I go on their website and it's all the same thing. And I think majority of people have a very difficult time buying something that's very similar if they already have something in the back of their closet. Celine obviously always had the Claude shoulder bag, and now they released what is called the shoulder bag Terrence. The only difference with this bag really is that it's in patent leather, and the clasp, instead of like a click to open, it's a magnetic closure. But if I already have the Claude, how can I justify getting the Terrence? They look so similar other than the leather and the clasp, and the sizing is very similar. And honestly, I think with all the repetitive designs, if someone wanted to get something already, they would have gotten it. They're not bringing back a repeat customer. I also feel like a lot of brands are just copy pasting each other's designs. Like Dior recently came out with the Miss Dior graffiti. I don't even know what it's called. And I feel like this is Dior's newest logo. Dior tends to go through these like identity crisis. They come out with a new logo every couple years and it becomes like their like classic bag, and they put this logo on everything in every collection, and then a couple years down the road it eventually starts fading away and then no one talks about it anymore. And I feel like this is what that is. They did this bag, it looks very similar to the Celine Triomphe, and they did add the graffiti, which I personally feel like it's just not very Dior. When I think of Dior, I do tend to think a little bit of an older demographic, but I don't think graffiti. And so I think this collection is a little bit different. But even then, like the style of the bag, you just slapping on a logo, it's the same as the Celine Triomphe, but you're slapping your logo on it, right? Like, what is so different about this bag? And if I already have the Celine Triomphe, how can I justify getting the Miss Dior bag as well? I think another brand that does this a lot is Gucci. Gucci is constantly trying to keep up with the Gucci Marmont logo. They have released some other styles like the bamboo style and whatnot, which I do like. They are a little bit more low key, but for the most part, if you go and look at like their like Marmont line, it's the same style bag, maybe slightly different, in different colors, different hardware. So there's silver hardware, there's gold hardware. And I just feel like once you have one style, you don't really want to buy another one. Maybe that's just me. I think majority of people, if you already have that style bag, you're not going to buy it in 5 different colors unless you really, really like the bag. I think it's also evident that quality has gone down. I was actually in the Chanel boutique in Spain, and I was looking at the Chanel mini. They actually had a beige mini. I have a black mini, and I was like, I would love to add either like a beige or a light pink, like a lighter color to my collection. And they actually had a beige one, which was, I was like, this is perfect. I've never seen a Chanel bag so wonky in my life. Like, it looks like it was stitched by 2 different people and somehow they just like pieced the bag together. It kind of reminds me of like when you're doing a group project and like each person does their own part and it's all so different and you somehow just like piece it together into like a deck and then you like call it a day. It just did not look cohesive. It did not look good. And the most unfortunate thing is the sales associate tried to tell me, oh, that's how they all look like these days. And I'm like, no, that's not how they look like. I have one and it does not look like this. And then I've also seen a lot of videos on TikTok where people are having quality issues with Chanel. Like, it's no secret that back in like 2008, before 2008, they used to use like solid gold hardware. Now it's gold plated, obviously, but I've heard people's hardware falling off, tarnishing within less than a year, the bags falling apart, and Chanel won't take accountability for that, which I think is really unfortunate for the price that you're paying for the bag. Like, not only are you continuing to do price increase after price increase, you're not standing behind the quality of your items either. I think that's really unfortunate. I know another brand that is kind of like, I kind of expect it. Honestly, I love my Goyard Mini Anjou, but it is very thin. It is a very thin bag. I've also heard people, especially in the heat in like New York with the humidity and everything, getting color transfer on their white clothes from their Goyard, which like should not happen for a $2,500 bag. I think another reason why luxury in general has gone down is the customer service in stores. I think pre-COVID, you used to be able to walk around the store leisurely at your own pace. And then after COVID, you have to wait in lines. You're kind of assigned a sales associate. And this is coming from someone who waited 90 minutes outside at Goyard to be shuffled in and out of the store in 10 minutes. There was no opportunity for them to upsell me. It was just like, here, what bag are you looking for? I'm looking for the Mini Anjou. Okay, we have it. What color do you want? They take it out. And then, do you want it? Yes or no? and then you kind of get like shuffled over to the cashier, and then if you have your passport, you do the tax return and everything like that. It's just not a luxurious experience. Where are the days where they used to like sit you down, ask you what you're looking for? Do you want coffee? Do you want champagne? Like, that is the luxury service that you're looking for when you are spending this much money on a bag. Obviously, the bag does not cost $2,000 to make, as we've seen with Dior. So you almost need to create this luxury experience for your customers to want to shop with you, especially in stores. Because what is the difference between shopping in stores and shopping online these days? There's not much if the experience is like that. I think the last two reasons are kind of like what else is going on in the market, right? Vintage bags have obviously been on the rise. I think when people are looking for designer handbags, they are looking for something that is a little bit more unique. They're not looking for something that the average Joe has. And what the vintage market brings is that not everyone is going to have that style, because that style was around 20, 30, 40 years ago. Not everyone's gonna have it. Not everyone's gonna recognize it. And that's kind of the beauty in vintage. And I think it kind of brings back that like exclusivity factor that a lot of people are looking for when they are investing in a luxury designer handbag. Obviously, you have pricing as like the first level of exclusivity, but if you have a vintage bag and people are like, oh my God, where did you get it? I feel like some people find joy in like, oh, it's vintage, or like, oh, you can't, like, not everyone can go to the store and buy it. And I think there's a lot of allure there with vintage. It's also a lot more affordable depending on kind of what you're looking for, where you find it. And also, at the end of the day, the quality is better. If you were to get, you know, pre-2008 Chanel, that's gonna be gold. And even if you're comparing like Louis Vuitton canvas, I don't know if it's in my head, I don't have any like exact measurement to do this with, but my Louis Vuitton vintage Keepall has thicker canvas than my Palm Springs Mini, right? And like, I just feel like back then the quality used to be a little bit better, which also makes vintage a little bit more enticing. And I think the last reason why a lot of people are not buying straight from the store, why sales are declining, is the rise of dupes. I think purchasing fakes is a very controversial opinion. It also used to be very taboo, and I feel like since the rise of TikTok and social media and how quickly trends are turning out, even with luxury designer brands, people are turning to dupes. And I don't know that I would personally buy a fake bag, but what you do with your money is kind of your prerogative. There's a lot of kind of allegations with what goes on behind the scenes with fake bags, what they're funding, you know, all of the things. And at the end of the day, like, people are choosing to spend their money elsewhere, even if it's not claiming to be a certain designer. So it's like technically a dupe, not a fake. Like, you can go on Amazon and find a Bottega dupe. It's going to be kind of that same woven design without it saying Bottega Veneta, and people are buying that for $20, $30. So you can still get the same look for less, and I think a lot of people are kind of gearing towards that. Even if it's smaller contemporary brand designers, you have Staud, Polène, Demelier, Freya, like there's so many other brands that you can get for a couple $100s that people are kind of leaning towards overspending thousands and thousands of dollars towards one bag if you can get multiple. So as a marketing girly, what can designer brands do about this? I think the biggest thing is price decrease. Let's be honest, we're not going to see that, but I think a less frequent price increase. I do know that YSL did do a price decrease recently on a couple styles, but if you're unable to do that, stand behind the quality of your items. Bottega recently released a like lifetime warranty on specific bags, but that shows me that Bottega stands behind the quality of their bags. If I'm gonna spend 11 grand on a Chanel bag for it to break a year later, the clasp fall off or whatever, and you're gonna be like, that's actually a you problem. That's actually normal wear and tear. Like, that's ridiculous. I will not be spending 11 grand on that if you're not going to stand behind your quality. But knowing that a brand stands behind their quality, it's an easier pill to swallow for me to be like, oh, if anything happens to this bag, I can actually just take it back in and they'll fix it or repair it or whatever it is. I also think improving the store experience will help a lot. It will bring a lot more people into the store, bring in exclusive items in the stores, more friendly essays, more welcoming sales associates. All of the things kind of contribute to more people getting into the store and making impulse purchases in the stores with the sales associate. And the last thing is bringing in new creative directors. We're seeing the same repetitive designs over and over and over again. A lot of the creative directors are kind of just playing like musical chairs with each designer house within the conglomerate, and honestly, it's very repetitive. There's no reason for me to buy the same style bag with a different logo on it just because a different house released that similar bag. So I think bringing in different designs, refreshing designs will help a lot with all of the sales. Okay, so that sums it up for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments if you feel like your luxury shopping habits have changed recently with everything else going on. Like, are you continuing to shop the same amount that you were shopping before? Are you shopping less? Are you shopping more? I'm so curious to hear what your thoughts are, but I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll leave another video for you guys here, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!